Hello, everybody. This is Becky Mossbrucker with the Stronger Together Tribe podcast. And today we are talking to Laura Clifton, who is an author and a coach. And we met on Facebook. And so, of course, we connected because I am also the author and coach and a bunch of other stuff. So, we're going to talk about her book and how she got started writing her book and what motivated her and how her book helps other people. So welcome, Laura. Appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's really lovely to be here. Thank you.
So what made you decide to write a book in the first place?
Well, it kind of happened by accident, really. So here it is. It's Prosperous, and I published it in June this year. I actually wrote the book in 2022. So I'll explain what happened. It was in about 2020 when we were in the lockdown, and I started to feel quite overwhelmed with things. I was having thoughts and feelings that didn't feel very nice, and I decided with the lockdown and the fact that I couldn't work, that I might spend the time on some self-care, some personal development, and to try and establish how I could help myself to start to feel better. So I found a book called The Secret, actually. I never really had been a spiritual person up until that point. And I found this book and it really resonated with me. It wasn't the direction I was assuming I would take, but I ended up looking up some other people that had been involved in The Secret, the movie. And it really got me into the spiritual side of things, the manifesting and, how your thoughts and your feelings create your life, what happens on the inside creates what's on the outside. And probably like many others, it's a nice it's a lovely thing to embrace and to work on. But for me, I kept from time to time having doubts because of the woo-woo sort of sense of how things are talked about. And I didn't leave it. I stayed on track, but I read something one day that really struck a chord with me. And it was some neuroscience facts about neuroplasticity and how to rewire the mind. So I was really interested by this. I'd done some work with a lady on it and I just delved deeper. I studied, I read, I learned as much as I could because for me, all of a sudden, this neuroscience that I was learning about supported the spiritual concepts that I'd been looking at in a neuroscience way, which I thought was absolutely amazing because for me, it gave me much more faith in the path I was going on with the spirituality bits. So the more and more I read and learned, the more I thought how powerful this can be as a combination of two things. And I was keeping notes of everything that I was learning, things that really resonated with me, things that I wanted to share with people or look into a little bit deeper. And it was in 2022, I was typing something into my sheet and, where I was keeping all the information. And I decided to read back from where I'd started. And it kind of all dawned on me that it was all linked and the neuroscience did support the spiritual and how powerful it had been for me up until that point. So that moment, I started to reorder my notes, put them all into categories, and started to see chapters forming and things like that. And it just sort of happened. I didn't intend to write a book, but when I read all that information, I wanted to share it. And I thought, well, this is a great start. So that's how the first draft of Prosperous was written. And then, ironically, considering that I talk a lot about how our mind self-sabotages us and tries to stop us from moving forward, it's a survival mechanism. I put my book away because I thought no one is going to want to read what I've written, and it made me feel a little bit vulnerable, to be perfectly honest, putting myself out there. And I just put it away, and it wasn't until January this year. So I've had a tricky few years myself with one thing and another in life, and I really sort of let my mind take control of me in January. And it got to the end of this really tricky weekend I'd had, and I decided I'm not going to let this happen anymore. I know what I need to do. I haven't been doing it because I'd let the survival mode kick in, and I just was torturing myself. So I chose to go and listen to meditation upstairs. It was a Paul McKenna he'd just written a book called Power Manifesting, actually. I think it had been published in the December. And there was some lovely audios that came with it. So I went up to listen to this meditation for half an hour to sort my mind out. And I was lying there, and this book that I'd written in 2022 and hadn't thought of all that time just kept coming to mind. It was really strange. It felt like it was an intuitive thought because it just kept coming back. And then all of these other things started to happen. I was thinking about the possibility of a second book because I had learned so much more since 2022, and how I could support people on this journey that I'd been on that had changed how I felt about things. And I, the day after I got the book out, and I spent the next 4 or 5 months working with a publisher and getting my book perfected to publish on the 25th of June this year. It's an Amazon bestseller, and
Nice.
I'm absolutely chuffed. I honestly can't believe it. It still sounds so surreal. This time last year, if you'd have told me this is where I'd be, I just wouldn't have believed you. I coach people to work through the methodologies and the concepts that what I've tried to do is put it all together in a way that's friendly, not boring, and understandable. So it doesn't, although neuroscience sounds like it might be boring and complicated, what I've tried to do is share it in a way that I think is effective. You can pick it up and it makes you understand why we need to do the work that I suggest you do to make improvements in your mind and therefore in your life.
You know, what's funny for me is I never wrote anything major ever, other than college, right? And during COVID, a lot of bad things happened during COVID, but some good things happened, at least for me, is that's when I had started my business in October of 2018. And then, 3 months later, the world shut down. And my business was meeting people in person and doing some self-defense training. It's hard to do that over a camera.
It is.
So I started writing blogs for my website, and I started running out of room. I started having too many words. And I had to do like a part one and a part two. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I found out I just loved it. And a friend of mine had introduced me to a publisher online. She lives in California. And I was like, I'm not interested in writing a book. So what I did was I contributed to one of her books. So she does a lot of compilation books. And so I think the first book probably had 40 authors in it. I can't remember now, 30 or 40. And it's like a coffee table book. And it's all, positive, uplifting kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. So I wrote in one, and man, I got the bug. And that was probably in 2020, I think. And so I've written in five of her, not her books, but five books now. And
Lovely.
I am so glad that we met, because you are pushing me in my own mind to get my own book out. It's funny because you have to get started somewhere, right? And so sharing in somebody else's book for me was great, because I didn't feel like I was being vulnerable about putting my whole life out on the line. And it led me up to wanting to write my own book. And now my choice is, do I write my own story or do I write a children's safety book? Because that's really what I want to do. So I'm going to start with the children's book first, and then I'll do my story later. But it's funny because I've done a couple of events where people have seen my compilation books, and then they're like, where's your book? And I'm like, gosh.
They've all got to be little nudges in the right direction for you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm like, you know what? When I'm not working full time, I will write my book. So I actually met with my original publisher yesterday. She and I did an interview of me, and she was saying that same thing. She's like, okay, I gave you the start. Now where's your book? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it.
It
So,
seems to me that a lot of things are coming into alignment for you at the moment, giving you them nudges. And you did mention to me when we spoke last week that you might have some spare time coming up.
yep.
So yeah, I think it seems to be, you seem to be being nudged in that direction, Becky. I think that's something you should.
Oh, I think so too. And I really want to do it. It's, it's finding the time, right? It's finding that balance because the last thing I want to do is what I did with the first book. And I was working all day long on my full-time job, doing my business on the weekends and like one night or two nights a month. And then all the other nights I was in my office with the door shut, typing. And my husband had no idea what I was doing. And Lord only knows where his mind was going because I kept very private and very quiet about it because I wanted to surprise him. So when the first book finally came out, I wrote in the cover some stuff for him, walked in his office, handed him this wrapped up book, laid it on the table, and I said, "This is what I've been working on." And when he opened it, he started crying.
Oh, I love that
And then he
story.
made me cry. And then we were all
Yeah.
crying together.
Oh, oh,
So, that probably wasn't the best way to handle writing a book is not explaining what you're doing a little bit because he was like his brain was just going wild trying to figure out, if I was talking to some other person and what I mean, he just went crazy with it. And I didn't help because I didn't want to tell him anything because I wanted it to be a surprise. So I've learned not to do that
yeah.
the next time. So when I get the chance and the time to write my book, I'm going to tell him.
Oh, I can't wait to see what you come out with.
Yep. I'm going to tell him Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm going in my office and I'll come out at 10 o'clock. See you later.
That's it. That's it.
Yep. Yep. Keep kind of make a plan. So so that makes me think of a question for you. When you started having all these ideas about your book, did you have like a timeline of like what you wanted to get accomplished by a certain week or a certain month? Or did you just say, I'm just going to write it when I can? Or how did you manage the time part of that?
Well, I kind of just went all in. Um,
That's me.
yeah, that is me. So I went all in. I got the book, and like I said earlier, I had learned a lot. And I developed a lot and learned a lot more between 2022 and January 2025. So as I was reading through the transcript that I'd written initially, there was a lot that I wanted to change. There were things that I wanted to add. So I kind of went through chapter by chapter and I just threw myself into it any spare time that I had because I was still running my beauty business and my home and running the kids around, walking the dogs. So to fit a whole new writing a book, I actually I illustrated my own book as well. I done my own typesetting, and Joe, who I was working with, he helped me with the cover. So it really was a soul project, a passion project, and I loved every minute of it. And it didn't feel like I was working. And I'm really lucky. My kids are a little bit older. They only really want me now if they want a lift or some money. So it fell at the right time. I wasn't needed so often, and I just sat in my kitchen with my laptop, and I was just focused. Um, like I say, came the illustration, so I got them done. Lots of reading and rereading, and yeah, and then we set it up for the publish date. Now, when you say, did I have a timeline in mind? I just wanted to get it published. Now, I was kind of thinking I was going to pull it out the archives in January, and 2 weeks later, because I could do it, I would publish 2 weeks later. Little did I realise how much work was going to go into it before we could publish. I don't think it was about accomplishment really. It came out the archives in January, and we still got it published on the 25th of June. So when I look back now, I think that was a good job. Well done in that time.
Yeah, I like structure and I like timelines. So I'm like, you know what, Becky? I don't want to pressure myself to, meet a certain deadline. And then if I fail at it, I'm going to be like, oh, what the heck? I don't want to do that. So I'm
Yeah, I think that's
almost kind of like, nobody's pressuring me to write this. It's my own timeline. It's my own thing. So why are you giving yourself a date to get it finished? I don't want to be under that kind of pressure. I
Yeah,
have,
no, and I think that's a wise decision actually, because I think once I feel like what's happening here is your mind, right, is a little bit worried about you taking this next step in case you end up succeeding, in case you end up, but it doesn't realize that success will make you happy. Success of publishing your own book, I mean, sorry, because you are already successful, but what I mean is it's something that you've never done before. It's out of your comfort zone. So your survival mode is naturally going to try and stop you from doing this because it doesn't know that you're going to be safe. So I think there are some elements of that might be coming up for you. And actually, do you know what I will say? I found, because it was a project of passion, I was really in that creative zone. And once you start writing your book, I think that will happen and you get a bit of momentum behind you. And once you start focusing in on what you're doing and getting creative, what happens is things come at you and you're like, oh, I need to do that and I want to add that to it. And that's a really good idea. And it kind of starts to flow once you get into that zone. So things like timescales and how much time have I got today to do it sort of went out the window, because I just was working there are three things I say that you need for this creative flow. You need the time, the energy, and the mojo, if you like, to do it. So I had the time because the kids were, doing their thing. I had the energy around it because I really wanted to do it. It was just, if I'd been working all day and then doing this and that, I was sometimes tired. Other times the mojo takes over and I could sit there for 4 hours and just type away. And I was like, oh, it's 2 o'clock. I better go to bed. So I think when you've got them three things in place and you can just get on and your creative flow is on, then you'll be onto a winner. And I think you'll find that does happen once you get going.
that happens with me with everything. When I get on a project, good or bad, when I get on a project, I get laser focused and I don't stop until I get it done. I'm that way with sewing. I'm that way with work at work, like working on a project or working on procedures. I'm that way with everything. So my husband's the one who's like, time out, you need a break. And I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I am focused. I know what I'm working on. I just want to get it completed. It's not that I'm so much worried about a timeline. I want to get it completed while I'm in that mojo. I'm in the mode.
Absolutely.
I've got the right mindset. Leave me alone and let me work on it.
Yeah, let you ride that creative wave.
I do, but it's like midnight. It's like you're exactly what you were saying. I will start at 8 p.m. and I will finish at 1 a.m. It's
Yeah.
just that's that. And when COVID started, people were always talking about that, right? They were talking about like what time of the day is your best day to work on whatever. And I guess I don't think it's unfortunate for me, but for me, it's like the third shift. I'm the second shift person. I'm the 4 p.m. to midnight person. That's me. If I had a second shift job, I'd be perfectly happy. But because I like to sleep in the morning, but then I'm up till 1 a.m. So
Yeah, yeah.
I've
I
always been
just
that
find,
way.
yeah, I kind of just find that it does quite. I mean, I go to bed early normally. I don't necessarily find it easy to get up in the morning either, but I go to bed early. But if that creative flow happens, I just ride with it, and it doesn't matter what the time is, because I feel like I've just got to go with it while it's there. So, and that could happen in the morning. If there's time, I can just crack on.
I'm glad to hear there's somebody else just like me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I carry my laptop everywhere we go. We camp a lot. So I've always got the laptop in the camper. And he was like, can you put it down for a few minutes? And I'm like, you don't understand. Yes, I will put it down. And then all those great thoughts you had just
Gone.
went right out the window. And I'm like, so somebody told me one time, they're like, you need to get an app on your phone, like a recording app, right? So you start
Yeah.
thinking of things, start recording. And I'm like, but it's the same problem. He wants me to put that down too. He wants me to be with him doing whatever we're doing and leave all the electronics behind. So I can't record it. I can't put it on my phone. I'm like, Okay, so yes, when I retire and I have all this time on my hands, joke, joke, we will be sitting down and having a conversation.
Yeah,
I'll be
lovely.
like, when the mood strikes, you need to get on it, right? And when these thoughts come, and I don't know about you, but for me, I mean, thoughts of all kinds of things, but usually very serious things that I want to write about or like blog about or whatever, either happen when I'm in the shower where I can't write it down, or 30 minutes after I have laid down to go to sleep. And my brain is trying to calm down to go to sleep. And it's like, oh, you should write about this. This would be great for your blog. This thing that you saw this thing today. It was like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm trying to go to, but
Do
that's
you
when all
know
this
what,
happen.
though?
It drives me crazy.
Do you see what you've just said? Like there's a pattern emerging there. So when you relax a little bit, you get in the shower and you're not really thinking of anything,
Yep.
it comes. When you lay down and rest your body, it comes. And that is how it happened for me. If you think I was listening to that meditation, quiet quiet the mind, and it just all came. There's a massive message in that.
Yep.
So when we're all thinking, I want to get creative, I want to be productive, I want to get all of this done, and we're just busy, 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 and the creativity just doesn't come. We need to lay down. We need to shut off and quiet the mind, and it will just come. And like I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I was talking about your daily habits for your mind health. And she said, well, the thing is, I'm so busy anyway. I just don't know that I can commit to that because I haven't really got the time. So I said, I understand where you're coming from because I get that. I'm a busy person too. However, if you invest a little bit of that time into yourself in the morning, like, for example, quietening the mind, doing a 10-minute meditation, what happens is you're priming your mind to have a more productive day. So you might spend 15 minutes on your daily mindful habits, but you're gaining so much more time later on because you're more productive. You've set intentions for how you want your mind to perform that day. You've told your brain what you want to focus on, so it knows what to bring you from your subconscious mind. There are so many positives to doing the daily habits in the morning to prime your mind for the day. And I'm on a, so I stopped after I finished doing Prosperous. I was so busy with everything that I stopped. I kind of let my daily habits lapse. And I noticed a few months later that I was really struggling. And when I really thought about it, I thought, I'm not doing anything I was doing. I haven't read my book since I published it. And every time I do read a little bit of it, I'm like, oh, because I've been so busy, I forget myself. And you do, it's normal. So I completely stopped with all my daily habits. But I'm actually on like a day 54 streak or something now of doing my daily habits because I thought I've got to pick this back up again. I know how much it benefits and how much it makes me feel better. So, and I have got to say, after 54 days, I can just feel the difference that it makes. Journaling is something that I do every day, and that includes some gratitude. It tells your mind that you want to look for things that are good in your life, that are already working. Intention setting. So tell your mind or tell yourself, write down how you want your day to go. So if you've got a call with somebody or you intend to sit down and write your book that day, you could sort of set intentions and say, today I want to feel creative, I want to be productive, and I want to focus and have some clarity around writing my book. You're writing it down and it's strengthening that connection. The pen to paper is really getting that information into your subconscious. You're telling your filter, it's called the RAS, you're telling that filter that that's what you want more of because you're focusing on it. So whilst, yes, it does take time to sit and give ourselves time to journal, it changes the path of our day and we gain so much more from it. So we wouldn't put our daily personal hygienic habits to one side because we didn't have time. We wouldn't say, I'm not going to have a shower, or I'm not going to brush my teeth. And we should connect as much importance to our mind health daily habits as we do to our hygiene daily habits.
That's great. That's a great comment because, so many people will use the excuse, just like I do, is I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to go to the gym. My doctor asked me this morning, how many days of the week do you work out? And I went, and she was like, Becky, we've talked about this. You've got to get that heart muscle exercising. So we actually went hiking a couple of weeks ago. Lord have mercy. I was
You
the
feel
last
it?
one in our group. I was struggling. It was uphill, it was tough. I thought my heart was going to come right out of my chest. It was hurting so much. And
Oh,
yeah, I was struggling. And, everybody in our group kept saying, are you going to make it? Are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm okay. Leave me alone.
you
But
made
I
it
didn't
though.
look okay. I looked very pale, paler than normal. And it was tough. It was a tough hike. And when I came back down, I'm just like, gosh, Becky, you've got to get yourself back in the gym. And I'm always finding an excuse. Every
Yeah.
week, it's like I'm too busy on Monday and I'm too busy on Thursday. And I have a meeting at 1 o'clock on Wednesday and I can't get there. And I'm like, you've got to stop. Got to stop coming up with all those excuses and get yourself in the gym.
Or find something that
It's
you
just good for you, period. Right. So,
is, but find something that you would enjoy doing, like dancing or walking or something that you wouldn't procrastinate about. Because the thought for me of going to the gym is painful.
oh, I love going to the
I
gym and I love the way it makes me feel when I get out of it. But it's taken the time to leave my office, change my clothes, get over there, work out in a hurry so you can get a shower and get back to work. It's like, it's
you talked
exhausting.
yourself out of it, haven't you?
Exactly. All right, so we're getting close to time. So, can you give us, let's say, like two of your very top, like mental health tips to share with our audience, and then we're going to talk about how they can download your book for free.
Perfect. Yes. So I have just touched on daily habits. So journaling is a huge one. It has so many positive effects spiritually, neuroscience backed positive effects on your mind. I would suggest doing that. I have created a journaling buddy in ChatGPT that I'd be happy to share with you as well.
Okay, perfect.
So you just click on the link and it guides you through journaling every day. It includes some gratitude, some reflections, some affirmations, and it's based around the things that are in my book. So you get some science facts and a little bit of spiritual encouragement in there as well. So there'd be no excuse, Becky, for not journaling.
Perfect.
And so the second thing is with the mind, with neuroplasticity and anything we do with the mind, repetition is key. So we build neural pathways. The more we think about them and ponder on them neural pathways, we strengthen them. So what we need to do is place as many positive neural pathways in our mind as we can. And that journaling supports that because the guide that I've created will support creating new neural pathways and strengthening them. But repetition is key, which is why it's key to do it every day. If you miss out a day or two, that's fine, but just get back on it. Just slip in 10 minutes in the morning if you can to pick up a pen and pad. It's so powerful.
That sounds perfect. When you were talking about The Secret, that was written by Jack Canfield, right?
Rhonda Byrne.
Oh, okay. So Jack Canfield did one very similar to that.
Yeah,
And that made me think of that because he does a lot of manifesting talks and stuff. So,
he does.
all right, very good. So we'll put links to all of your social media information at the bottom of the podcast. And you said you had a link for your book for free, right? So we
Yeah.
can put that in there and let people download your book. And it's been great having you on. I've loved talking to you about authoring and writing books. And every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. But
You
you are
are,
the
you will.
best.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed chatting to you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being on. Appreciate it. Stay tuned,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for another episode soon.
Cheers.